Red Devils transfer hub. Could one transfer decision change everything for Marcus Rashford this summer? Here is the truth that nobody is saying out loud. Marcus Rashford went to Barcelona, proved his doubters wrong, and scored 14 goals and gave 14 assists in 49 games. He did everything right. He worked hard, he got his confidence back, he even earned a spot in England's World Cup squad. And now, because of one big money move that has nothing to do with him, his whole future is hanging in the air again. That is the football world we live in. And Red Devils, we need to talk about it. This is not just a transfer story. This is about a Manchester United academy boy, born and raised in Wythenshawe, who gave everything to this club for years, went through one of the worst public falls from grace we have seen at Old Trafford in recent memory, rebuilt himself far away from home, and now faces the very real possibility that his next chapter gets decided by whether Barcelona can or cannot sign Anthony Gordon from Newcastle United for around 80 million euros. If that does not show you how brutal the transfer market can be, nothing will. So let us get into all of it. The Gordon push, the wage situation, the United stance, and the big question every Red Devil is asking right now: what is actually happening with Anthony Gordon? Let us start here because this is the part that is directly affecting where Rashford ends up. Anthony Gordon is 25 years old and plays left wing for Newcastle United. Sound familiar? Yes, that is exactly the same position Rashford plays. Barcelona want a left winger. They have been trying to sort out Rashford's future all summer, but now they have turned their attention to Gordon in a serious way. Reports are saying Barcelona are willing to pay around 70 million euros for Gordon. Newcastle are holding out for closer to 80 million euros, which is about 60 million pounds. Talks are ongoing, and as of right now, Gordon has already said goodbye to the Newcastle fans after their last home game of the season, which tells you a lot about where his head is at. So why does Barcelona want Gordon when they already have Rashford on loan? Here is the thing. Barcelona love Rashford. Manager Hansi Flick has reportedly told the Barcelona board that he wants Rashford in his team next season. The players get on well with him. The fans have taken to him. Rashford himself said, and these are almost his exact words, that if he could be a magician, he would stay at Barcelona. The man wants to be there. That much is clear. But here is the problem. Manchester United put a buy option in the loan deal. Barcelona can sign Rashford permanently for 30 million euros. On paper, that sounds like a reasonable fee for a player who just had a 14-goal, 14-assist season. But Barcelona are refusing to pay it. They think 30 million euros is too much. They want to keep Rashford on another loan, or they want to sign him permanently in 2027 instead of 2026. And Manchester United are saying absolutely not to both of those options. Why United are standing firm and what it means for you as a fan. This is where it gets interesting from a United perspective. The club wants Rashford gone. That is the honest truth. This goes back to December 2024, when Ruben Amorim left Rashford out of the squad completely. The relationship broke down. Amorim is gone now. Michael Carrick is interim manager, but the club's position on Rashford has not changed. They want to sell him. They want the money. They want his wages off the books. And this brings us to the wage situation that was mentioned in the original report. If Rashford comes back to United without a sale being agreed, his full wages would be restored. Reports have put that figure at £375,000 per week. Now, here is the part that matters. Manchester United just qualified for the Champions League for next season. They beat Liverpool 3-2 in a huge game to secure a top 5 finish. That Champions League qualification triggers bonus clauses in player contracts. Most of the squad are set for a 25% pay rise. So if Rashford returns to United and stays, his wages go back up to around £375,000 per week because of those Champions League clauses. That is an enormous amount of money for a player the club does not want. It makes no financial sense for United, which is exactly why they are pushing so hard to get a permanent deal done this summer and why they will not agree to another loan. United want the cash. They want to reinvest it. They want Rashford off the wage bill, and they will not budge on the €30 million asking price. Does that make you feel anything as a Red Devil? Does it feel strange watching the club push out a player who came through the academy, who was once one of the most exciting young players in Europe? Or do you think United are making the right call by drawing a firm line? The Gordon factor and how it could squeeze Rashford out here is where the domino effect becomes really important to understand. Barcelona have limited money. Like many big clubs, they cannot just spend endlessly. They have financial rules to follow. If they spend 70 to 80 million euros on Anthony Gordon, that leaves very little room to also pay 30 million euros for Rashford and take on his big wages permanently. Fabrizio Romano, who is one of the most trusted names in transfer news, spoke about this directly. He said Barcelona did not call Rashford's camp and say they are walking away because of Gordon. The interest in keeping Rashford is still there. But Romano also said it could affect the financial side of things. If Barcelona spend big on Gordon, they might try to be more creative in how they structure any Rashford deal with United. They might ask for more time to pay. They might try to push the price down. They might even argue that having spent so much on one player, they cannot match United's valuation for the other. And here is the thing about Gordon and Rashford. They play the same position. Both are left wingers who like to cut inside. Both can score and assist. If Barcelona signed Gordon for 80 million euros, why would they also need Rashford? They would have two players competing for the same spot. It starts to look less like a football decision and more like a financial squeeze out. This is the scenario United fans need to watch closely. If the Gordon deal goes through, Barcelona may simply tell United that the Rashford deal is off. And then what happens? What happens if Rashford comes back to United? Let us be honest about this scenario for a minute because it is a real possibility. If no deal gets done before the end of the summer window, Rashford is a Manchester United player again. His loan is finished, he comes back, and as we mentioned, that means his full wages kick back in. Carrick has reportedly not been thinking about Rashford as part of his plans. United made no effort to recall him in January. The club's message has been consistent. They do not see him as part of the future. So if he returns, you have an uncomfortable situation. A player who does not want to be there. A club that does not want him there. Wages of £375,000 per week with the Champions League bonus on top. And a summer window where United need to be smart with money to bring in new players. That is a difficult situation for everyone involved. And it is not Rashford's fault. He did his job. He went to Barcelona, worked hard, rediscovered his form, and became a good player again. The problem is not his performances. The problem is a transfer market where his situation has become about money, contracts, and competing deals rather than football. Would you want to see Rashford back at Old Trafford? And if he did come back, do you think there is any world where he becomes part of the first team picture again under whoever the next manager is? Arsenal and Bayern Munich are watching here is a detail worth paying attention to. Reports have said that both Arsenal and Bayern Munich are keeping a close eye on how this situation develops. If Barcelona decide to walk away from Rashford completely because they are signing Gordon and cannot afford both players, that does not mean Rashford is out of options. It just means his next move opens up again. Arsenal need wide players. Bayern Munich have been linked before. There will be no shortage of clubs interested in a 28-year-old winger who just had one of his best ever seasons in terms of numbers. But here is the thing to remember. Rashford's wages are very high. Not every club can or wants to pay £375,000 per week. That wage level is one of the reasons why his move away from United was complicated in the first place. Any club that comes in for him will need to be ready to match or come close to those numbers. Or Rashford may need to accept a pay cut to make a move happen. That is a conversation between him and his representatives, but it is a real conversation that may need to happen if Barcelona step away. The bigger picture for Manchester United this summer. Let us zoom out for a moment because this Rashford situation is just one piece of a much bigger summer for United. The club has Champions League football secured for next year. That brings in serious money, reportedly around £100 million in additional income. That is massive. It gives United real power in the transfer market this summer. They can compete for bigger names. They can offer players European football as part of the pitch. But to use that money well, they need to get the wage bill under control first. Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Andre Onana are all names that United want to move on from. Getting those deals done frees up significant funds. If they can sell Rashford for €30 million and take his £375,000 per week wages off the books, that is a genuinely important piece of business. The club also needs to appoint a permanent manager. Carrick is interim. Whoever comes in permanently will want to shape their own squad. They will have opinions about which players stay and which go. Rashford's fate could also be tied to who walks through the Old Trafford manager's door in the coming weeks. So many things are moving at once, and every single one of them could change Rashford's outcome. What kind of signings do you want to see United make this summer now that Champions League football is confirmed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The human side of this story. Before we get to the bottom line, it is worth pausing on the human element here, because sometimes in football we talk about players like they are pieces on a board rather than real people. Marcus Rashford grew up in Manchester. He came through United's academy. He wore that shirt from the time he was a young boy. He scored on his first team debut. He scored 2 goals on his Champions League debut. During the COVID lockdowns in 2020, he led a campaign to make sure children from low-income families continued to receive free school meal support. He forced the government to change their policy. He did that as a young man with a platform who decided to use it. His form fell. He had personal issues. He had a difficult relationship with Amorim. Things went badly. That is all true. But the idea that a Manchester United academy boy who has given his whole life to this club ends up being used as a bargaining chip in a transfer standoff between his club and Barcelona, while a completely separate deal for Anthony Gordon plays out in the background, it is hard not to feel some sympathy for him. He did everything right this season. He scored 14 goals and set up 14 more in 49 games. He got back into the England squad. He is heading to a World Cup, and his future is still uncertain. That is football in 2026. So what happens next, and when will we know? Here is the timeline to watch. Reports say Barcelona and Manchester United are set to hold talks before the 2026 World Cup begins. That means the decision could come very soon. Either Barcelona agree to pay the €30 million fee and sign Rashford permanently. Barcelona find a creative deal structure that United accept. Barcelona walk away because they have spent big on Gordon. Or the situation drags into the summer with no resolution. The World Cup itself adds another layer. If Rashford has a strong tournament with England, his value goes up. Clubs take notice. Bidding situations can change very quickly. A good World Cup performance could open new doors that are not visible right now. The window is open, the conversations are happening, and somewhere in all of this, Marcus Rashford is waiting to find out where he will be playing his football next season. The bottom line for Red Devils Transfer Hub. Here is where we stand as of today. Barcelona want Rashford, but will not pay what United are asking. They are chasing Anthony Gordon for €80 million, which could take away the money they might have used to buy Rashford. Manchester United will not do another loan and will not lower their price. If Rashford comes back without a sale, his Champions League boosted wages of £375,000 per week become United's problem again. Arsenal and Bayern Munich are watching from a distance. The outcome nobody wants is Rashford returning to a club that does not want him, sitting in the stands on enormous wages, while United try to move him on in a market where his options may have become more complicated. The outcome everyone would like to see is a deal getting done. Either Barcelona finds a way to make it work before the Gordon saga is fully resolved, or a new club comes in with a serious offer, and Rashford gets the fresh start he has clearly earned. He has done his part. He rebuilt his career. He scored the goals and made the assists. What happens next is largely out of his hands now, and that, Red Devils, is probably the saddest part of this whole story. This is why transfer windows are so maddening. The football part is sorted. Rashford is a good player again. Everything else is contracts, money, competing priorities, and timing. We will be keeping you updated every step of the way right here at Red Devils Transfer Hub. Make sure you follow and turn on notifications so you do not miss the moment news breaks on this one, because when it does, it will move fast. One last question for the community. If you were in charge of Manchester United's transfer decisions right now, what would you do with Marcus Rashford this summer? Let us know below. Every voice matters here. Written for the Red Devils Transfer Hub community. Stay red, stay loud, keep the faith.